In this instance, nope, that shit happened, and I ran out the door, down the hallway, into the bathroom, and I couldn't. I was, like, hysterically crying. I was, like, losing my mind.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We
Hey.
are in continuance of May being Skin Cancer and Mental Health Awareness Month. So I know we started our month off with a little bit of talking about skin cancer, some facts around that, and talking about therapy and,
Mhm.
some ways to support the mental in staying safe and sane and pretty much, as we always say, being a better version of ourselves, right?
Yes, always trying, although some days are certainly more difficult than others.
Ooh, you ain't lying. But I tell you what, it's so random. But today I was sent a video from TikTok.
Mhm.
Not from TikTok, but someone sent it to me that came from TikTok, just saying
Yeah.
TikTok don't be sending me no personal videos, which would be interesting if they did. Anywho, and it was this video that was just uplifting, and it was just one of those like, don't question where you're at. You're at in life because you're supposed to be there and you're equipped to do everything that you're doing.
Mhm.
Like, and for those of us who do believe in God or a higher power, they put you in this spot because that's where you're supposed to be. And, don't worry about this, that, and the third. She kept saying, you're equipped, you're equipped, you're equipped.
Mm.
When you have slow times in life, that's your time to rest. And when things start to pick up and you feel like you're on a good track, utilize your resources and, you have what you need to be where you are and to do what you need to do and to get to where you wanna be.
Yeah, no, definitely, that's awesome, I love that.
Yeah, it was so nice, and I just thought it was so funny that I got that before we actually record this episode, so I was like, "Damn,"
Good
like,
timing.
for some mental health, that was a good feed, 'cause TikTok does have just a variation of things on there,
Yeah.
so, just to be able to be sent that video and I didn't ask for that, like, I personally feel like right now, I'm in a pretty decent place mentally, like, I don't feel, down or too far one way than the other, I just feel like I'm coasting, so the fact that I got that was like a sign in a sense. I just had to share that pretty
Mm,
cool video. It was long as hell, I ain't gonna lie,
I was gonna
but
say, it sounds like a long video.
it was a little lengthy, like, I'm sure she used that whole 3 minutes for that video, but, it was just nice to hear, and I'm just like, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing with my life right now, so she better not be lying to me." I am where I'm supposed to be, and I'm gonna continue to believe that, so, yes,
Yeah.
mental health kickoff, and you know me, I like talking about mental health a little bit too much probably, even though I'm not an expert in it, and never will I act like I'm an expert,
Mm,
but it's just, a topic that I like talking about to a certain degree.
yeah. No, I think we all know by now that you are kind of the more so mental health guru, but, it's a good thing, it's an important topic, and everyone's talking about it these days, so
It's important, like, it's so important, and I find that we as people, not enough people, of course, because there's never enough people on the good wave, but we as people have evolved, and I don't know if it's just, like, our generation or, exactly what it is, but just talking about, like, self-respect, the mental health thing, being healthy internally, aside from externally,
mhm.
is I feel like it's been so much more common of a topic over the past few years. And I literally just talked with my therapist about this, where it's like one thing that I can speak on being from the Black community that I was raised to be obedient,
Mhm.
where if an elder tells you to do something, you do it. You don't question it.
Mhm.
If an elder says something to you, you're not supposed to talk back. Even if you're just expressing your feelings, is considered as talking back.
Yeah.
Like there are certain things that won't fly today, but that's how we were raised with.
Yeah.
And it's just that whole mental health thing where it's like, as adults, we realized things like that was not okay. And now we're able to pretty much like change that curve, or as they call, break that generational curse,
Mhm.
and do things differently. So that way, our children who are coming up don't have that same unhealthiness, in a sense, when it comes to just being able to vocalize themselves or just say how they feel or just to be able to have a conversation. Because it shouldn't be you can't speak or you can't do this or you can't express your feelings because I'm older than you and you're just supposed to listen to me and what I have to say and do as I say. Even though what I say and what I do can be wrong as hell, you know?
Yeah. No, it's interesting how times have, like, definitely changed, and, there
Yeah,
are, like, good and bad aspects about it too, so
for
it's
sure.
just interesting, though, to see how just a complete, like, 180 that it is from how it used to be, and, I can certainly see some bad things that come from it, but I do see a
Hmm.
lot of good things definitely for sure, so
For sure. Because if you're too lenient with it,
Mhm.
then you kind of don't really have a,
No boundaries.
right. Yeah.
Just put it that way.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. No boundaries. And then that just doesn't work out well because if you don't have boundaries like from the get go and you go out into society with no boundaries, then that's a setup for failure in some aspect.
Yeah, boundaries and respect are huge,
Oh
so
my gosh.
be able
Yes.
to speak your voice freely, but, always
Right.
remain boundaries and respect.
Right. There's a time and a place for things as well. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying that, if an adult tells a 5-year-old to go and do something and that adult should just disregard what they want done and let the 5-year-old tell them how they don't like it and it hurts their feelings. Okay, I guess your feelings are hurt, but this needs to be done. So I'm going to need you to do that.
Right.
And we can handle your feelings once the job is done.
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
yeah, so that's just my little random ass rant of just how I see mental health, and I pair that with mental health because that that stuff does affect you when you get older, and how does it affect you mentally? So,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
that's my little thing.
Well, and so to kind of, like, wrap all of that into one package that goes along with, kind of like what we try to bring awareness to,
Mhm.
is the question of when does mourning a loss actually turn into, like, a mental illness? So, one
Hmm.
thing that yeah, I feel like it is a very interesting question because some would probably think automatically that, like, grief and mourning can't really turn into something like
Like an illness.
yeah.
No, I completely agree because I I just wouldn't pair it with that. Like I don't know how to explain it, but
Mhm.
I when you say when it becomes an illness is like, damn, it gets that extreme. Like, yeah, it does reach different levels for people, but I've never thought of it as becoming an illness. I just thought of
Right.
it as someone falling into that deep dark hole,
Mhm.
and that hole is just a different depth for different people.
Yeah,
But I
certainly.
never considered like a certain depth to become illness.
No, me neither really until I started, like, looking into it, and I find it interesting, because this one thing that I found says that most of the mental health experts agree that 6 months of unrelenting grief is enough to establish the presence of something called complicated grief, and then 14 months is too long to wait until you seek treatment. So it kind of seems to be in between that, like, 6-month to, like, 14-month range, which I think would seem appropriate, like, when you really, like, think about it because, yes, you are still going to be grieving, but there
Mhm.
does kind of, like, come to, like, a certain point where you do have to function back into society, and if you feel like you're not really able to do that, 6 months to maybe a year afterwards, then you might want to
Mhm.
start looking into getting some like professional help. And that's not to say like um like you're crazy or anything like that. Like it's
Right.
really just the fact that you're grieving and you just need help with how to process that.
That's true. No, that and in today's times, time passes by so quickly.
Definitely.
So 6 months is but isn't a lot of time
Mhm.
because 6 months passes by like nobody's business. I mean, look at us. We're going on 4 and 5 years of our parents not being here.
Yeah.
And like it I mean, you asked me, it didn't happen that long ago. It doesn't feel like that many years ago,
Not even. I can't even believe that for me it's 5.
you know. So, but for someone to not be in an okay state to, you know, go back into being in society and adjusting to the change of, now grieving and mourning this loss,
Mhm.
I feel like that would be more common in situations where it was sudden or tragic,
Right.
you know? Not saying that it can't happen for those who knew someone's passing was coming,
Mhm.
but I could see that relentlessness being more of a thing when it's a very unexpected death
Yeah. Um,
or even numerous deaths at once. Like,
oh
what if
yeah.
you lose? I didn't even think about this, but what if you lose more than one family member at a time?
Yeah. I couldn't imagine. And there's people that like lose people in like car accidents or,
Right,
something kind of tragic and severe, and that's definitely gotta be hard.
right. Because I mean, I just wonder, does that statistic of the between the 6 months and 14 months change? Because if I just lost three people in my family all at one time,
Mm.
do I get 6 to 14 months for each person? Because
Person.
it's like, goddamn, like one person to lose is hard enough,
Yeah. I'm sure it stays the same though, but
which is sucky.
it
I'm
is.
not gonna lie.
It's a
Like,
lot to process.
damn, you about to judge me off of how well I put myself back together
Mhm.
after losing three important ass people at one damn time.
Right.
Sorry, I feel real passionate about this right now because it's just be like, I don't even know how I would feel. I
Right.
can't even imagine that feeling.
Yeah, me neither. I couldn't either. But there was something else that I had seen that did confirm that a sudden loss can actually trigger a variety of, psychiatric disorders. So I'm
Ooh.
sure well, I don't know if I would say it's, like, common or whatever, but it's definitely a thing that can happen to where if somebody is experiencing one or multiple sudden, like, tragic deaths, that they can certainly just kind of, like, lose their minds, for, like, the lack of a better word.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. No no blame, there at all whatsoever.
Right. Like, and those who are able to resume life in some sense
Mhm.
after those losses, I give it to those people
Yeah.
because like I said, one person at a time to lose is hard enough. Even one person and then back to back you lose people is
Right.
hard enough, but
That's tough.
all at once and
Mm.
you're able to pull it together and to continue with your life,
Yeah.
those people and they continue in a healthy manner because people can continue, but then they might pick up bad habits of
Yeah.
some sort. But those who continue and are able to continue in a safe way, big ups to them because that is like the ultimate strength, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, and you gotta think too, as you're, like, speaking, it's making me think because I like to watch a lot of, like, murder stories.
Where do you that ID channel?
So no, there's actually a really cool YouTube, channel that I've like watching called That Chapter. He's really good at, like, kinda, like, putting storylines together and stuff. And well, I don't know if he's, like, touched on it specifically, but it made me just think of, like, things, like, I've seen in the past where, families of people who have lost people to, like, murders or, like, sudden deaths and whatever, I feel like a
Mhm.
lot of them kind of start to make that like their new life's purpose, and like they'll create like foundations and stuff like the Gabby Petito case and things. I feel like their parents, like, don't do anything but that foundation that they have started, and
Mhm.
I just feel like that's where a lot of people go because it's so hard to just, like, let it go, but then you can also feel like you can function in society if you're trying to help others that may be going through the same thing, so
That's very true, and that's a very
Mhm.
healthy way to go about it,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
that support, because it opens up a support group,
Mhm.
to just be there for others and to be able to, relate to them in their situations. But I must say, because I'm gonna go off topic for a second because that's just what I do. Anyways,
Uh-oh.
what is this stereotype of women in these murder shows? I'm a woman myself and I do not watch. I don't. I just can't because maybe it's my level of optimism. I don't know what it is, but them shits make me a little too sad and then I get freaked out and then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm one of those lock the bedroom door behind me now that I watch this stuff and I got to check the doors downstairs numerous times and make sure they're locked." My mom used to watch that stuff all the time. I cannot.
Well, I'm just a weirdo, like, I went to school for forensic science, like, that's just kind of,
Right.
like, in my DNA, so I'm probably not the best one to ask about it, but I just find it extremely intriguing in some
I
weird way.
can't, it literally dampens my energy.
Hmm,
Like
not me. I get so curious.
I I got to be like bored to the highest degree and I literally take a nap before that, but I got to be bored to the highest degree. And I've like watched a few episodes, but I really just they get me so worked up on the inside. Like I just maybe I'm an empath and I just feel what's happening in the episode. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel threatened.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
I don't know, but I always see it like on social media. It's those stereotypes about women watching them crime investigation shows and stuff like that. And I
I don't
hate
know,
the
though.
internet because they're not lying.
Yeah. And
They're not lying.
just turn on Forensic Files, and I can sit there literally all day and just get lost and not know what time it is.
I literally will just watch repeat episodes of like black sitcoms like Living Single, even though I've watched every episode at least a good 10 times already. I'll
Yeah.
watch it again so I don't have to watch anything else that I feel dampened energy from.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Oh
It's not for
gosh.
everybody, and that's why I do what I do for a living because, it's not
Well,
so
that's why the world needs people like you.
exactly. See,
And
there's room for everybody here.
there is. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw us off, but
I know, no,
that
I forgot the comments that I was gonna make
you were
before
talking
too.
about the foundation and how it helps
Oh,
people to support.
see, there you go. That
I
helped.
made I made sure to remember since I was going off topic.
Proud of you because me and my memory is just not there at all whatsoever. Um,
Ever.
Shut up. But that had me thinking, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast before, to where right after everything happened with my dad, my first thought was, "Oh my god, I'm going to start a foundation for him because this is such a rare thing that not a lot of people go through." And, there's like cancer like organizations and stuff. And I do believe I found like a few like throat cancer related foundations, but I don't think any of them are in the US. But don't quote me on that. I haven't looked at it in a long time.
Okay.
But it is something that I did want to do at some point, and it's not completely off of my bucket list, but I just find it a lot harder the farther away that I get from, the day that everything happened. Um, just because I don't know if I can immerse like my daily life into like remembering everything that like had happened at one point in time. So like I really don't know where these families like find the strength for like these murder cases and stuff because I don't know if I could live that every day and like help people out. Like I'm in a Facebook group for people that are experiencing the surgeries and stuff and the cancers that my dad went through, and like every now and then, like, I might chime in with something, but, like, for the most
Mhm.
part, I would say I just kind of, like, ignore them like it's, like, white noise just because it's, you know.
Easier.
Yeah, and it's like, is that even healthy to, like, remind myself of things constantly? I don't know. I guess it's
Um,
back to a question of healthy versus unhealthy.
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know if it's, healthy or not, but I just wonder, like you said, these people who keep themselves immersed in these
Yeah.
cases, they I don't know, I don't even know how to word it. It's like there's a difference in losing someone to that type of tragic murder,
Mm,
which when someone dies from cancer, that's still a murder, if you ask me. Cancer is the
right.
killer. Um, but I guess it depends on how severe the death was, because then it allows it to linger. Whereas your dad was and my mom too, and just people who pass away from cancer or things like that usually
Mm,
have a um slower journey to getting there. There's
mhm.
like more steps we have to remember or that we have dealt with that got them there,
Yeah.
opposed to, say, someone who was murdered, where this is the last day they remember for that person and then they were just snatched away.
Hmm.
So, in my opinion, that's easy. That for me, that would be easier for me to remember of my last moment in the snatch away,
Yeah.
opposed to every single step I've gone through each month until that person passed.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
that's why I don't think that it's necessarily healthy or unhealthy. It's just, once again, two different types of paths. And honestly, like for our cases, the best way to really remember everything is writing stuff down,
Oh,
because
yeah.
we, like everyone else, have the rest of our lives going on.
Mhm.
We just have our daily in and outs that we deal with and new memories that come about. And it's harder to hold on to every little bit and piece when we
Mhm.
have so many more things coming our way, opposed to the people who have one main incident that they have been hurt by or are holding on to, that they're using for support for others as well.
Yeah. No, that's totally true. Cause I remember I literally wrote everything down, like, day for day. We even have, like, a notebook and shit. And if
Hmm.
you ask me today, like, certain things, I can't tell you. I'd have to refer to my notes just
But that's
because.
why you have the notes, though,
Right.
because there's something that you are to do with that.
Whatever.
And that's all I'm going to say about that. But no, seriously though, like, it's and that I personally think that the note taking is healthy, because writing is a healthy form of mental health,
Yeah.
and taking care of yourself, because you're not overbogging your brain, holding on or trying to hold on to everything.
Mhm.
You're allowing yourself to be able to breathe and expand and just kind of live in the moment,
Yeah.
when you can write that stuff down and go back and refer to it and not have to worry about trying to hold on to every little bit in piece, because that's going to drive you insane. And I feel like there was a small time where I drove myself a little crazy, because I'm like, oh gosh, I feel like I'm starting to forget things.
Mhm.
And even sometimes, like when we have our conversations and we're doing these episodes, and the amount of things that you remember with your situation with your dad,
Mhm.
and then I feel like at times, like my information is inadequate because I can't remember as much detail as you can. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, am I a shitty daughter? I'm
Mhm.
literally her only child. I
Oh,
was there the whole time. But that's the stuff you think about sometimes
oh
when
god.
you have those situations. No, I know I'm not shitty. I'm pretty fucking awesome. Like, don't worry about
No.
me, so
Like, I'm not
like
trying to make
sinking
you
in a
feel like that.
hole. No, and I know it's nothing intentional, but being someone who also has lost a parent, and I'm only human. We compare ourselves to other people. That's
Right.
unfortunate. And yes, it's something that we as people need to stop doing.
Mhm.
But that is something I've thought about plenty of times, of course, because it's just like this is something we talk about all the time. And then it's just like, damn, like as much as I talk about it, I really can't remember that much. And then I'm like, damn, is it because I smoked too much weed? Like, am I forgetting shit because I smoked too much weed? But no, I know that's not it. Myself and my style is suppressing and holding on to what I want to remember.
Right. I was gonna say
And
it's definitely a traumatic response.
right, and unfortunately, memories that are more significant for me are the ones that hurt me the most.
Mhm.
There's a lot of good memories. I can't list them all. There's key memories I'm going to remember, but when it comes to my situation, I remember the things that scared me the most, took me out of my comfort zone the most, that made me the most sad.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, those are the things that my brain links to first and holds on to the most.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I get it. It's unfortunately a part of the process for some of us,
Mhm.
So for me
Yeah.
that's a good reason why I had therapy or have therapy because it helps me to get away from that state. It helped me to look at the bigger picture and look at other things, the things you're able to enjoy, the
Mhm.
good times you've had, and things to look forward to, things that were instilled in you that were of good nature and good character.
Right. Well, that was beautifully said. Um, Grief, man. It's such an interesting little little beast, isn't it?
It is, and
Ugh.
it could be so draining. Um, but then it can be rewarding in a sense of feeling like, wow, I'm not as sad as I was before. I still get sad, but I'm not as sad. And it's like, wow, am I graduating? And then this random ass day comes and you're just like down in the dumps. Like
Mhm.
one tiny thing just triggers you, and then it's just, you feel like you're back to square one,
Yeah, definitely.
you know?
It's something I was telling you before we started airing, something that I was just telling my mom, the other day is, when because you're always gonna grieve once you lose somebody. So in your grieving process, because to me that never ends. Um,
No.
you're gonna come across a memory and it's going to, like, make you laugh one day, and then you might come across that same memory or something different, a day later or a few weeks later, and that shit's gonna make you cry for, like, the entire 24 hours of that day. It really just kind of, like, depends, and you really just need to ride whatever wave your emotional roller coaster has you on that day because you can't do anything to stop it. It's going to happen. Who knows why it makes you laugh one day and one day it makes you cry. There's no
Hmm.
explanation for it, but either way, it's healthy and it's normal. So just let it happen.
Roll with it.
Yeah.
That's right. Just let what is be. As weird as that sounds, but let what is be what it is.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Don't question it. Just write it out.
Yes.
Talk about me, very well said. Very well said.
I try.
Oh my goodness. What else you got for us for some mental health content?
So if you wanna get into some more, like, technical, like, terms or whatever for kinda like what we're talking about and how grief affects us mentally,
Hmm.
some things that's been recorded that other people experience can be, like, anxiety attacks, they can have, like, chronic fatigue, they can have depression, or it can even go as extreme as, like, having thoughts and feelings of suicide. Um,
Ooh, I have not reached that, but I can definitely say anxiety and depression have been on my list.
yeah.
Not severe. I think I've had mild depression, like a mild case of depression.
Oh, yeah.
But anxiety, mm, that used to have me like short of breath while laying in bed at night,
Oh, really?
have an anxiety attack. Oh my gosh, blood pressure raised up, put me on blood pressure medicine. I'm like,
Oh, I
bitch,
remember that.
my blood pressure is there's nothing wrong with my blood pressure. I'm pretty sure it's like an anxiety or panic attack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was ooh gosh, it was so scary.
Yikes.
So scary. So people, if you have those any of those symptoms or signs, definitely seek for some type of assistance because one, it doesn't feel good.
Mm,
And two, especially if you're having the thoughts of suicide, no one wants you to go.
no.
And the one who you lost that caused you to feel like that does not want you to go.
No, not at all. That's yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine being in that dark of a place, but I can totally see, like, why it would happen and somebody would feel that way.
Absolutely.
Um, and depression, I feel like that's just, like, a given
Mhm.
when you lose someone,
Automatic,
like,
yeah.
unless you're, like, some I don't like, twisted person, I guess I'll say, and you're, like, happy that someone died, then clearly you didn't really care about them in the first place just because that
No! No! So, I will say there are some people that I believe are
God.
in a well-suited place in their lives, and they understand the circle of life and handle things in a better nature than most of us can. I feel like there's a small percentage of those people out there who may not necessarily hit depression, but they definitely do hit a very serious state of, like, grieving and mourning.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought you were gonna say, like, something about, like, people being happy that someone's gone. I was like, in what
God.
kind of a situation, like, does that even exist? Like, even if someone's, like,
No.
100, like, you're still gonna be sad when they die, like,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know where you're going with that, you made me nervous.
Oh my gosh.
But for me, I don't know if I would say that I've had anxiety attacks.
Mhm.
There's just one instance when my dad was completing his 2nd surgery, I wanna say, and I feel like I've definitely talked about this, where we went to go see him when he was still in the ICU, and he was just, like, kind of, like, waking up from everything, and when he did, he had, like, blood, like, coming out of, like, his nose and things, and he was just, like, freaking out and panicking because this is the one, I think this is the one where he lost his voice. So, that whole experience just did not fly with me, and normally I'm very, like, calm and, like, collected and the one that has my, like, head together because I felt like I needed to be my mom's support.
Right.
And in this instance, nope, that shit happened, and I ran out the door, down the hallway, into the bathroom, and I couldn't. I was, like, hysterically crying, I was, like, losing my mind, and I don't know how my mom found the time to call my grandma, but she did, and she called me when I was in there, and I don't know why I answered it, but, like, I was glad that I did. My grandma don't do the crying bullshit, like, she will not
Your
talk
mom's
to
mom?
you. Yes. She
Yeah.
will not talk to you when you're crying, like, none of that. So, like, a part of me was kind of like, "Don't answer," because, like, she don't play with that.
I would say she strikes me as that type.
But she obviously knew, like, what I was going with and, like, my mom had, like, explained things to her, I
Mhm.
assume from what I remember. But it was, like, comforting to hear her, and she did certainly, like, calm me down, but I would say that that's kind of, like, the one and only time that I can remember to where, like, I just, like to me, that was an anxiety attack. Maybe it
Mhm.
it wasn't. I
That
don't
was an attack of something.
but that was just that will literally stick with me forever. Um, so yeah, that was that.
Ooh, that was heavy. Oh my gosh.
I just
People, y'all still there? Y'all still listening? Ooh, gosh. That one was weighing heavy on the chest.
have it so vividly in my mind. I just, like, see everything, like, happening.
Mhm. I have 2 memories like that myself, so I get it. I'm
Um,
sure a few of us who have been riding out with our loved ones until their ends have some of those moments that just we can't get rid of in our
yeah.
minds as much as they hurt us and make us uneasy. Ugh.
Yeah, no, that will forever forever stick with me. Um,
Ugh.
and I
Well,
don't know.
thank you for sharing that as hard as that was.
Yeah, I just mm. Anyways.
Ooh.
So I would say that the only other time I experience anxiety is when my mom stops answering me. Like, if I don't hear from her within, like, 24 hours, like, I start panicking and, like, I'm frantically, like, calling her, and I think we've had this conversation because
We
I said I
did,
wanna
and I
stop her
was
with cameras.
yeah, I was gonna ask, did she get those cameras installed?
No, she did not. We're working on it.
Y'all heard that? She said, "We're working on that."
Shut up. She might actually
That is great. That is
listen.
great.
But that's the only time. I freak out when I don't hear from somebody because I'm just terrified that, like, something's gonna happen.
No, I get it. I
And that's with
absolutely get
anybody
it.
really. Like, someone doesn't answer me in, like, what I consider to be a reasonable time frame, like, you better you better answer me before I start
Oh
driving to
my
work today.
gosh. Imma test you one day, see how it goes.
Mhm. Well, you almost did freak me out. It was, like, maybe a few months ago. I think it was, and we were, like, supposed to podcast, and I was, like, texting you, and I don't remember if I called you. I might have, like, FaceTimed you or something, and you weren't answering me, and then I even text Nat. I was like, "Hey," I was like, "Have you heard from Amanda today?" I was like, "We're supposed to podcast, and I haven't heard from her." And she said I think she said yes, like, she talked to you, like, early in the morning or something like that, and I was like, "Well, she's not answering me," and I was like, "I need to know if she's okay." And then you, like, 2 hours later, "Oh, I was napping."
Oh, I think I know what time you're talking about.
I
Yeah.
was like, "If this bitch don't wake the hell up because we
Listen,
have things to do."
listen, if you're into the human design, I am a projector and we need our rest, so there are times where I just need to rest.
I was I was freaking out, so you don't have to test me because it's already happened, lady. Oh,
Okay, okay. Sorry, Cassie.
thank you. I forgive
You're
you.
welcome. Do you have
Uh,
more mental health talk for our peeps?
um, I don't think so. I think the only thing left that I would have to say and kinda wrap it up with is don't feel, like, ashamed if you feel like you are, like, I don't know, grieving too long, if that's, like, even, like, a good statement to make. Um, just recognize what you're going through, and if it comes to a point where you haven't been able to really function back into society, I would definitely, suggest seeking some kind of help, whether it's professional or, just going to like a friend and saying, "Hey, like I think I have like a problem or, I really need to talk about this," or, whatever the case might be with somebody that you trust. If you're like me and you don't feel comfortable going to like a stranger to talk about things,
Mhm.
um I would certainly, suggest that and just make sure that you recognize it because I think self-awareness is huge when it comes to that. So just don't let it take you to the point of actually becoming with, like, a diagnosable condition.
Right. And if you're somebody who is comfortable with talking to strangers and you don't want to talk to someone with professional degrees or someone who would charge your insurance, Cassie and I are also here because we're people who can relate
Mhm.
and can just be a listening ear. We don't even have to share our story. You can listen to our podcast episodes to hear our story, and we'll just take the time to listen to you.
Yeah.
So, or even if you want some ideas on how to kind of best handle the stage you're in with grieving or just anything, your girls are here. We got y'all.
Yes, we sure are. So, don't be afraid because I promise we are very nice people.
Absolutely. I'm nicer than Cassie
Oh, okay, yes, that's a fact.
because we established you're not personable. Anywho, thank you all for tuning in to another episode with us. It's your girl Amanda
And
with my
Cassie,
girl. Yes.
I
And
beat
we
you.
look forward to chit chatting with y'all on our next episode.
See you guys later.
Bye.